Okay, fellow pinballers. A couple of you asked me if I could do a video, and I'll do my best. This is not my forte, as you'll be able to see from the quality of the video. But I went ahead and installed the new mod for the hologram from PinballSP. It was delivered to the house a few weeks ago, and I finally had a chance to put it in. And a lot of you are questioning it because of the cost. It is not a very cheap mod, but I do have a project game that was missing the entire hologram, so I was very excited to get it. I'll be able to get that game going. But I did take one of my games from route, put it in there just so we can make sure everything works until I have time to get to the other game. So the unit, the directions are online through PinballSP. They're very detailed. He did a really good job explaining everything. Just don't do what I did, get halfway through it, and when it says it's installed, think you're done. There were some parts later on, further along, that talk about power supply and things like that that I missed, but I did get those fixed. So I'll show you pretty much basically how this thing went together, and then give you a little bit of idea on the gameplay, and we'll go from there. Okay, so a lot of you have the original holograms that went through that plastic window. They've turned blue, they've worn out, they look like hell. There was another mod made a few years ago, and he is no longer making them. Pinball Mike, I think, was who made that. But this unit we've been waiting for a few years on Pinside. I think it's well worth it. So what you do on the bottom of the actual pinball machine is you're going to remove the existing hologram, and you're also going to remove the plastic shroud. Okay. And I also went ahead and took my mirror and motor out of the base of the game too, just to get everything out of there. It's no longer needed. And you're going to install the new monitor. Before I put my monitor in, I did replace my plastic window that views to the mod. As you can see, mine's scratched up and filthy. And with this beautiful mod, I figured, you know, go big or go home. So put a new window in there, placed the monitor in here. Basically, you're lining a center point on the bottom and using screw holes from the existing hologram you took out. And then on the top, you're going to use this center line here and center line it to the window again and put 2 new screws in. That's it for mounting the actual unit. So after that unit is in place, you take the supplied HDMI cable and the power supply for the actual video monitor and ran those down and ran them up into the back of the cabinet. So I'm all done with the base. Okay, for the second half of the installation, basically there's 2 pieces you're going to be working with. You're going to be working on the MPU board. You're going to be taking the connectors off of the bottom. Your switch connectors are on the bottom of the MPU. Sometimes they'll be on the second row up. You're going to disconnect those. You're going to disconnect the ribbon cable. Okay, below the ribbon cable you can see there's a blue board that has a smaller ribbon cable connection. So disconnect this, put the new board on, plug it back in, take the smaller cable, plug it into the bottom of that board, and that's going to feed down to this new unit here. So this new unit basically goes directly on the pins where you pulled the 2 wire harnesses off earlier. That connects on there. You're going to put those 2 connectors on the row of pins below. And you're going to put your HDMI cable in, and you're going to plug in the power supply that went to the actual screen. So the only thing we need to do now is go ahead and power this unit. So to power the unit, you can order a 12-volt unit here, and in his directions, I ordered it from him, and in the directions he explains to you, you're going to crimp it onto the 2 purple wires that go to the DMD board, velcroed it in, and then ran the wire over, and it plugs in on the underside of that unit. You'll actually have to plug that in before you put the unit on the pins. And that's it, we're done. One of the things I ran into with my game is the unit itself sits on those pins, and to get everything nice and keep the connections tight, I had to make sure that all my wires that were on the game originally were moved over. You don't want any wires behind this new board because it's going to press against it and it's going to make the connection intermittent. So I'm going to turn the game on while I'm putting it back together. So one of the things you'll have to consider, it does take about 90 seconds for this hologram mod to fire up totally. After a minute it turns on, and the next 30 seconds it goes through its boot and checks all the systems, and then you're ready to go. So it's about 90 seconds. While we're waiting for that to fire up, I'm going to see if I can get you in closer so you can get a view of the actual mod in play. Let's give it a shot.
Now on with the...
Alright, give you an idea of the gameplay.
And now on with the show. The bar is now open for your convenience. Thank you. Enjoy the film. Even one of these tunnels, we gotta find her. Ooh, this looks fun.